Hey friends, how are you doing? You have to excuse me. I'm up in my bedroom. I'm hiding from my children. They are finishing up summer homework, and I am really pretending that they can be independent with that because, man, the end of summer days. But we are going to talk all about belly crawling today, and I wanted to share with you a few things that are really important to understand about belly crawling because um, a lot of babies can get stuck belly crawling, and we don't want our babies to miss out on the benefits of getting up onto their hands and knees. So, first off, when do babies typically belly crawl? So, some babies are going to be super motivated and start some pre crawling and belly crawling actions with some inchworm as early as 5 to 6 months. I would say that that's very early on, and more commonly, babies are going to be starting to move into belly crawling between 6 to 8 months. Now, it's really important to understand that not all babies belly crawl, and that is perfectly acceptable. Some babies are going to play with pre crawling, they're going to play with rolling for mobility, and they're actually going to transition straight up onto hands and knees and do hands and knees crawling without ever belly crawling. And that is totally fine. Be warned though, those babies are typically going to 4 point crawl a little bit later. It is a much more advanced skill. And so you're going to see those babies coming into that at the farther end of the crawling range, typically 8, 9, 10 months. But for those babes who really want to get grooving and belly crawling, it's going to happen usually a little bit earlier. So, why and how long do we want our babies to belly crawl? So, it's totally fine for a few weeks, maybe even a month, especially if your baby is really little. And then we really want to see them starting to those transitions up onto hands and knees. What can happen is that babies get very fast, very proficient at belly crawling, and they're like, yeah, I don't need to go up onto my hands and knees, and from their belly, they can actually figure out how to pull themselves up into standing. This is where we want to pause because belly crawling, a couple of things, is oftentimes asymmetrical. And two, it's on their forearms. And so they're missing out on opportunities to get great strength up through their shoulders and into their booty that is going to be really important later on. And so they can be less motivated to get all the way up because they've got a very fast, very speedy way to go. So, after a few weeks, a month, if your baby is still ferociously belly crawling and they're getting very fast and they're not showing signs of trying to get up onto hands and knees, that's when you want to start looking at helping them move on to that next step of crawling and getting them into positions to play where they're going to be really trialing out those shoulder strengthening moves, those belly or those booty strengthening moves, and the coordination so that they can hit that 4 point crawling mark. And why is 4 point crawling so important? Well, like I mentioned, it's going to strengthen the shoulders, it's going to strengthen the booty, it is going to get really great grip through the hands for hand development. That we're going to see that later on with handwriting and coordination. But on top of everything else, it's very symmetrical. So babies are using their core, they're using their shoulders, they're using their legs to move in opposite directions and to dissociate their upper body from their lower body, which are skills that we need in order to get up into standing and walk successfully. So we do not want to miss out on all of those great advantages of 4 point crawling just because our baby is a proficient belly crawler. So that leads me to my final point, which is what is an exercise that we can do for a baby who is really great at belly crawling and not yet transitioning up onto hands and knees. And one thing I really like to do is to set up a baby obstacle course. So you can do this with a nursing pillow, a throw pillow, get an old comforter off of the ground onto the floor, anything that is going to be bulky that your baby has to climb over. The easiest thing, actually, when you're playing with your baby in the playroom, is going to be belly crawling straight over your leg because your baby is belly crawling, belly crawling, belly crawling. And I know I'm going to swoop in here and try to fix the mic. They're belly crawling a ton. They come up to your leg. Now they can't effectively get over your leg until they push up onto their hands. They're going to struggle. They're going to get themselves hyped up onto your leg here. Then they're actually going to get this really nice moment where their knees are coming in underneath them. They're on their hands and knees, and they're going to continue to crawl straight on over. That's just one of the many things that you can do during your baby's next playtime. Other things that are really helpful are you teaching your baby how to get up onto hands and knees, rocking on hands and knees, reaching on hands and knees, and then also working on getting into hands and knees from sitting too, over your leg to reach for toys and play for toys. I cover all of these in my 6 to 10 month masterclass where I cover crawling, transitions in and out of sitting, up onto hands and knees, and sitting itself. So if you're interested in more activities to confidently teach your baby how to play in a really purposeful way that's going to set them up for success for learning how to 4 point crawl, I'd love to see you inside. I would love to answer all of your questions. I'd love to work with you as you and your baby play purposely and you become an incredibly confident mama in this journey in the first year. All right, cheers. We'll see you next time.